surfer dinner in tents outside and so forth, you know, and then we brought it inside, and they brought this great big pig in on the table. Oh my God, it was ugly. But it was a roasted pig anyhow, and we had that, and I have to tell you an aside story about that dinner that night. It was very informal. And you know, with the sisters, we like to have everything set and in place and everything, but surfers are not of that type of thinking. So you couldn't seat them, you couldn't put them down. Well, they soon learned that it was better to have a seat or go back outside, because some of them came, they had one seat here and one seat there. They couldn't sit with their wives or anything because people sat where they wanted to. But anyhow, it turned out to still be a success. Everybody finally got a seat and had their food, and we had a good time. But at the end of that night, when they were helping to clean up, one of the men came, and I won't say who he is, you would all know him, but he came up to me after our place was thinning out, and he had a big wad of bills in his hand, all 5s, 10s, 20s, and he said, "Sister, put this in your pocket or someplace safe to keep. It's a lot of money." And I said, "Well, where did you get it?" I said, "It's not mine." And he said, "It's yours. Don't ask me where I got it. It's yours. Just put it in your pocket." But earlier that night, I noticed we had told the people that down the hallway at the end of the first floor hall would be the ladies' room for the women who needed to use the bathroom. The one closest to the dining room, right outside the dining room, down that hallway, would be for the gentlemen. But I noticed, I thought a couple of guys found out we had a bathroom in the laundry. You had to go through the kitchen to get to it and through the storeroom. So I noticed them all going. I was going to tell them not to go. I mean, if they had to get there fast, fine, you know, you never know. So I never questioned it. But then, after everybody left, I asked one of the other surfing men, "Where did he get all this money? Look at it." And he said, "He was selling shots in the storeroom." Word spread through the dining room like, I don't know what. And all the men were getting up and going, their wives didn't know it. Secret. But I made out very well that day. And all I could say to him was, "Thank you very much." I couldn't reprove him for it. We had no license for liquor on the property or anything. But anyhow, we have a lot of funny stories that I could tell. I could keep you here all night telling you stories, but I won't do that. I did want to say that we did have some miraculous events take place. At least we think they were, and a lot of people think they were. When you saw in the film about the Blessed Mother statue washing the shrine you saw there, that stone shrine was an imitation of the shrines at Lourdes, France. And that whole thing washed out to sea of the storm of '62. And nothing was left. Bernadette, the Blessed Mother, everything was gone. The whole stone structure and everything. When we came down to examine the place, there was nothing there. Several weeks later, porches, the first floor front porches, they were open porches at the time. Didn't get used very much because bugs and dampness and so forth. And after I was down here a while, I thought, gee, it'd be nice if I would enclose them. I didn't think I would be very popular for it because nobody likes to come indoors when you can sit outdoors. So I asked for the longest windows I could get and as many as would possibly fit across each porch so that we could have an indoor porch that would seem like the outdoors. I had outdoor fans put in, and I wanted to get some electricity there. And so I had some electricians coming to put some receptacles in the walls. And I found a place in, well, anybody remember Petey from North Wildwood? He used to have the furniture store on the point there.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, Petey had moved to Delaware. So I called her and asked her, could she sell me some furniture? I knew she would give me a very good price. She was always very good to me. She said, "No, I can't. I had to sign a contract that I would not sell to former customers for 5 years." I said, "Well, I can't wait that long." But she said, "I can help you out. I'm going to give you a phone number and you're on your own." So she gave me the phone number. I didn't know where I was calling. It was an 800 number. I don't know if it was 800 back then, but it was some kind of a number they just called, you know. And I got on the phone and I said I was told to call you, that I might be able to get some outdoor furniture from you at a very good price. And he said, yes, yes. And I told him who told me that, yes, I know her very well. And so I said, well, and he said, what are you interested in getting? And I said, well, I wanted some individual gliders. I didn't want three-seaters. Nobody ever sits three people on a three-seater. They just don't. They use the two ends, and I didn't want to waste things. So I asked for individual gliders. I had seen them in some of the stores, and I wanted some chairs for the second floor deck, the GrowFlex, the kind that you could go back and recline a little bit in. So anyhow, I told him I was interested, and he said, I'm going to give you another number. And I said, well, will they be as good to me as you will be to me? He said, they better be. So I was talking to the manufacturer in Florida, which I didn't know at the time. And he gave me a number in Delaware to call. And so I called there, and I asked for the name that they gave me. And the girl said, well, that's my name. And I said, are you one of them? She said, well, I'm married to one of them, so that's my name. I said, well, I was told by this gentleman, I gave the name, to call you and that you would be very good to me. She said, we already heard that you would be calling. It was the father of the people who owned the business. So I ordered all my furniture there, and really, we got it at cost, and oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the price we got it for. I don't remember the numbers now. But they came themselves to deliver because they wanted to see who we were. They weren't Catholic and they didn't know sisters, and they were very curious. Well, back then we were still wearing our full habits and everything else, so they got a good look at us. They delivered all the furniture. We still have it today. So, but the other story connected with those porches was the electrical outlets that we were putting in. And I was over on this one side of the porch, and the electrician was, you know how big a receptacle thing is, you know. What is it, 3 by 5 inches to cut out? So the electrician was cutting out the thing to put receptacles in, and he screamed on God, sister, sister! I thought he was getting electrocuted. What's the matter, what's the matter? Are you hurt, are you hurt? He said, no, no, but look what I just cut out. It was a piece of wood this long and this wide, the outside of the wall, which was tongue and groove wood. Not what they put up today. It was tongue and groove wood. It still is. It's still there right now. You can see it when it's coming down. But anyhow, he showed me the piece of wood. And in the wood was carved with pencil. Not just written, carved with pencil. Pray for John 37. Now, who would ever believe that a 180-foot strip, an electrician would cut out that piece of wood? How many years later? 1937 to 1996. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I pray for John every day. I don't know who he is. Someone told me once that they thought they knew who it was, and they told me, I have it written down somewhere, but I'm 82 now, and I don't remember everything. But just little miraculous stories like that occur all the time. So the Blessed Mother statue and that electrical story, I won't burden you with more stories, but now I want to just jump to the future. You saw something of the past, or something of what's going on as we renovated the house through the years. It housed 250 sisters initially. I got it down to 130. We made the dormitories on the third floor into private bedrooms, and they were nice big bedrooms. This is another little miraculous story. These rooms were big. They had wardrobes. The mother house was being renovated into a school, one of the wings there, and I was stationed at the mother house for 16 years, and I knew everything that was in it. I went there the day it was built, when we first entered, and I was there for 16 years. So when I heard they were going to use that building now for a school, I thought they have 100 beds, they have 100 desks, they have 100 wardrobes. I need them for Stone Harbor. So I got on the phone and I called them. The now Mother General had been the treasurer when I was there. I said, Mother Genevieve, I want the wardrobes and everything from the rooms when you do the renovation for the school. Well, she said, well, what for? I said, I'll take the beds, I'll take the mattresses, I'll take the wardrobes, the desk and chairs, anything that's there, I'll take. There's 100 of them. She said, well, the wardrobes, you won't be able to have 100 because they're going to use some of them in the school classrooms for bookcases and storage in the classrooms. I said, they're not going to use 100. Give me whatever's left. So she sent them down, and my brother was living then, and my brother was a plasterer by trade, and he lived in the village. So he came over, and Charlie and I took those wardrobes up the steps, the two of us carried them up to the third floor, and we put one facing this way and one facing this way, and drywall around it. We didn't make them soundproof, but it made it private. So we had all these lovely big rooms on the third floor. Well, where did the miracle come in? when it was time for the sisters to come down for retreat, for many years, the sisters in the office had to be careful about placing some sisters because they had some physical problems and they had to be on the first floor or they had to be near this or that or the other thing, you know. I guess some real and some imagined, who knows, you know. Oh, human nature, you know how it is. But the first year after the renovations, the sisters in the office sent me and they said, Sister James, you've really performed a miracle. And I said, what do you mean? They said, we have this letter from a sister who for 25 years has asked for a first floor room because she couldn't possibly take the steps. We didn't have an elevator yet. She couldn't take the steps. Now she's asking for a third floor room. She's cured. So, miracle or no miracle, it was a miraculous event in some way. So we have a lot of little miracles like that. I can tell you 1,000 stories like that. That's enough, I think. So anyhow, in the future, not too long ago, I had to send out a letter saying what we were going to be doing. We came to the decision that, and I had been on a committee for a couple of years where we were discussing this, and I kept telling them, I'm making it smaller, I'm making the rooms bigger on the inside. I have us down now to 130 beds. Still too big. But toward the last year of these meetings, I myself had to face facts. And I asked God's grace and vision to help me to come to some good decision that would be beneficial to everyone. And as I looked around the place, I thought, $170,000 taxes. It's getting more and more difficult to pay the operational costs, which I was doing with the surfing contest money and all the contributions from the people, work and financial help, and I thought it's getting too much. The sisters were getting older who helped me. I was losing my painters, my grounds people, and all this kind of thing. So I had to face the facts, and God allowed me to see and admit it's way too big. Give it up. So with great peace in my heart,
She's filled up. Yes.
and a few inside tears, I relinquished, I gave it up. God gave me the grace to be able to do that. It had to be done, practically speaking, financially speaking, in every way, shape, and form, I realized. So I notified the community they were coming down to see me, and I knew what they were coming for. So when they got there, I said, before you say anything, I have something to say to you. And I told them, I've come to the conclusion, and I'm convinced that we need to diminish the property itself and the buildings. They're all too big, and I don't see much coming behind me to be able to take over. So they were very happy to hear that, of course, and they were also sad too. It was a hard decision to make. None of us want to see it go. So, but my biggest worry was because of all the people who had helped me over the past 30 years to bring it up to snuff, to make it handicapped accessible and a livable place, you know. And, well, that was hard for me. I thought, how do I tell the people? That was one of my biggest things after all the help. And then it dawned on me, we would have had to leave there 25 or 30 years ago if we hadn't received all the help that we got. So now I could say thank you for helping us to be able to stay this long. And I wrote the letter saying that we were going to diminish the size of the property and the buildings. And the good news would be that we will be staying in Stone Harbor. We will rebuild. And we are going to rebuild. And we're still early in the planning, and we were advised by many wise people, at this time you move like turtles or snails. Don't try to move quickly. In other words, to meet a time frame. Do things carefully so that when you're finished, you're not saying, oh, we should have, and so forth. So we're still very early on in the plans. But I can tell you this much. The new building will be up where the old building is. It will only be 2 stories, so it will be a little longer than it would if it were 3 stories, you know. So how much ground will it take? We don't know yet because we don't have the footing. people were concerned about the property in front of our house from the present house to the ocean. Are they going to put buildings there? Is somebody going to buy that and put buildings up there? That's all non-buildable property. We pay taxes on it, but it's non-buildable from the front lawn to the ocean. So no concern about that. We'll stay where the big building is, and then we have to sell in order to be able to demolish and rebuild. The demolition itself will be very costly. Underneath that white vinyl is asbestos, and in some areas 2 layers. So you know what that involves, okay? And it's very well built, so it's not going to go down like, it's all wire lath, plaster walls and everything else, good foundation, all of that. But it will be coming down. It probably won't be demolished until after Christmas, by the time we get all the pre-studies and, you have to go through all the codes and be approved and all that kind of, it'll take that long for all of that to happen. What are we going to sell? Which of the land are we going to sell? We don't know that yet. But most likely we'll probably start at 2nd Avenue on the 112th Street side and go from there. The building, the garage apartment where I am now, and what we call the priest house, which is really a convent for the sisters, that will remain up for a while too. So we can keep an eye on what's going on in the rest of it, So where do we stand now? Have we sold? Has the developer taken the property? No. How are we going to sell it? Individual properties or bulk? We don't even know that yet. We'll do what's best. What's best. And that is still to be seen. We're still inquiring about how to do that because we have to put a street in there. 112th Street has to go in. And it seems like a simple job, but when you get into it, you have all the utilities and everything else that you're responsible for putting in. That's another costly thing to do. So we have to consider how much do we need to sell. And it's my thinking, and I think it's any wise person's thinking, that land is more valuable than money. It stays longer, and the value doesn't decrease. So we won't sell any more than we have to, but we will have to sell whatever we need to in order to accomplish the demolition and the rebuilding. I think that's about all I can tell you about the future, unless you have some questions that I might be able to answer in that regard. And then beyond that, you can ask anything you want about what you saw here that maybe you didn't quite understand or you would like me to elaborate upon, anything that you've seen there. I will tell you that on September 7th, by this weekend, I hope to have this out as public knowledge all over. On September 7th, we're going to have our final Mass at Villa Maria and a tour. Now, that morning session from 11 to 1:30 will be by invitation. And we're bringing the sisters back and some very close friends over the years for that final celebration. And that afternoon from 2, we said 2 to 4, but it might go 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know, depending on how many people come. We'll have an open house for the general public, and we're going to play this throughout the day in Good Counsel Hall, our meeting room. That'll just play continuously so that people can have an overview of the house itself. And that will be from 2 o'clock on Saturday, September 7th. If there are people here who aren't not going to be able to make that, after September 7th, you can come and ask me, can you go through the house? And I probably will say yes, But not before that time. I'll be a little bit too busy preparing for all that and closing up. So I open this now to any questions that you might have or anything you might want me to elaborate on.
I was just wondering, you mentioned about the tongue and groove wood. Is that beadboard, the old beadboard that was hand beaded?
The what?
Is it beadboard, the tongue and groove wood? Is that was a board and then it would be hand beaded back in those days?
Yeah,
I used to have an
yes,
old
similar
pair
to
of
that,
jumps
yes,
that was made out of that.
yes.
I wonder if you can save that and sell that.
Well, there's a lot of things,
Or reuse it in the new one.
like,
right?
and even, like I've done a lot of renovations, our bathrooms are all in very good condition. The toilets I've made, comfort toilets, they were always very low.
Yeah.
And the sisters used to say, oh my gosh, you have to watch yourself when you go to sit down here. So I brought in high toilets when I was replacing. And one of the sisters said, then my feet dangle. I don't know. So I thought, well, they're too low, they're too high. Now we have some mostly comfort height to us, the ones in between, you know. But they're all in good condition. And we have new sinks and new spigots, everything like that. And some of the bathrooms, we have the new stalls and things. They're all in very good condition. People say, why don't you take them out and save them? But truthfully, when you consider it, for the labor to take them out, the money it costs to store them, and the labor to put them back, you might as well get new ones. I would imagine that at some point we'll have some sort of a demolition sale for people to come in and take what they want. The doors and things like that, people say, I'd love to have those doors. Oh, I'd love to. Well, whatever. We haven't gotten to that point yet. But if anything like that comes up, it will be put out in public notice, you know. Or if I just say, come and grab what you want and take it with you. You know? We'll see. I don't know what it's going to be. But there will be some way. Many of the things we will be saving. People want to know, are we going to keep the chapel? We don't know that yet. There's a possibility that we can. It can be lifted and moved to wherever we want it. The outside could be totally renovated. The windows could be reset. But we will keep, no matter what, we will keep the altar, the crucifix, the tabernacle, the side altars, the statue. We don't have side altars, the statues, the stations of the cross that are around the chapel. I don't know about our lamps, the lights in the chapel are all solid brass. I hope we can keep them, but it depends on whether or not we keep the chapel. If we keep the chapel, all that will stay. But if we don't, then we don't know what the new chapel will look like and how things can be used. But those things I mentioned will definitely be saving. The shrines on the outside will stay in existence. They may be moved to a smaller area or a different area, but Stations of the Cross outside, the Blessed Mother Shrine, St. Joseph, the Sacred Heart, who bids everybody welcome to the grounds of Villa Maria. That's another area I could spend time talking about, the people that have come to that statue. Where our Lord stands with his arms outstretched saying, come to me, all you who are heavily burdened, and I will refresh you. I have met many people at that shrine with very heavy crosses who are now healthy because they came to visit that Sacred Heart and found their consolation there. So there are many, many beautiful things about Villa Maria and stories that could be told. So that we'll keep as much of the grounds as we can, you know. So I'll open it now to some other questions.
Sister, what will the capacity of the new building be?
We're still determining that, but because of the size of the community, and it's going to be a 12-month bid, it will be heated and aired, and it will run all year, because some of the sisters cannot come to make the retreat in the summer because education has changed. We're still educators, but it used to be your school year was from mid-September till mid-June. Not anymore, because they're in adult education, university, literacy programs, all other kinds of education that are needed in today's world. So it'll be a 12-month operation, so the size of the retreat groups will necessarily be smaller.
Sure.
So we're thinking in the area of 50, 60, and if that's too big, we'll go lower. But we're considering that we did some observation of the decline of members in the community and projected down the years what that might be according to our age. You know, the median age of the community. I'm 82 and still going strong, but not everybody is that way, you know. So that it'll be about that size, the capacity. But we also have to consider the future use of the building may not just be just for the retreats of the sisters. Right now, that's what we're planning for, and that's what it will remain for as long as we have the sisters to do that. But it may be open. We have already started one-day retreats for women. That could evolve into weekend retreats. It could evolve into weekly retreats. We don't know that. But we want to keep that all in mind so that when we plan for the chapel, the meeting room, the dining room, they will all be size accessible to about 50 people.
Sure.
You know.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sir?
Could you tell us, one of the areas of fascination for me as a kid was watching the nuns bathe in the old bathing suits. What was that like?
Well, I'm
Were you
82,
young?
but I never had the real old
never had
bathing
the old-
suits. You want to know what was the old bathing suits like? I think some of you could tell me more about that than I know. But I have pictures, and I see they were a lot of women dressed that way back then. The bathing suits were, today there's hardly a suit on them. They're barely there. But at any rate, I know when I came to the community, we had a regular bathing suit, but on top of it, we had like an old gym top, and it was made of a shiny material. I don't know whether it was nylon or what it was, but when you went in the water, you would either float or drown. It puffed up, and but it was modest anyhow. And hopefully they're all still wearing at least a modest bathing suit. Another question or interest?
How many workers did it take to build it in 4 months?
Oh, that's very interesting. I'm glad you said that. And you saw the number of pilings and the wood that came in and so forth. It was built in 4.5 months from the time they started to the time we entered the building in June. 4.5 months. But it was right after the Depression. And we hired anywhere from 100 to 200 men a day worked on that property, and they were delighted to be there. And the workmanship is tremendously great, really very well done. But 100 to 200 a day.
Were they all from local?
A lot of them were local, some were from Philadelphia area, but the contractors were down from there. But many of them were local. And there are some men who come today and tell me that they worked there or that their father worked there and so forth, So,
Did they house them on the property?
No,
Jason,
no. At that time, there were only about 25 bungalows in all of Stone Harbor, but they had, I don't know what they had, to tell you the truth. I guess they traveled back and forth. Didn't take us long then, I guess. I don't know.
Sister, our aunt, Sister Joseph Marion, is 92, and she's looking forward to a limited stay in August here.
Sister Joseph Marion has been a faithful staff member for years.